Good evening, everyone. My name is Stephen Wall and I have the great privilege of being the Chief Executive Officer of Wyndham City Council. On behalf of our Mayor, Councillor Mia Shaw, and the councillors, I'd like to thank all candidates for their participation in this community forum, and to all of you at home who have joined in with us this evening. As you may be aware, on February 8 there will be a by-election in the state seat of Werribee, following the resignation of our long-standing Member of Parliament, Tim Pallas. I'd like to begin by thanking and acknowledging the great service of Mr Pallas over the years both the member for Tarneet and lately and more recently as member for Werribee. Elections and by-elections are important events, and with the majority of this election being conducted over a summer break when everyone's generally tuning out, we felt at Council it was an important responsibility to ensure residents tuned in and found out about our candidates. Wyndham City remains one of the fastest growing municipalities in Australia, and while that presents great opportunities, it also presents great challenges. Our current population of 325,000 people is set to grow to 500,000 people by 2040. With rapid growth comes the need for great investment in our city. We need investment in infrastructure, roads, public transport, but also sports facilities and aquatic centres. This area must keep up with the community need and expectations, and the only way we will achieve this is through partnerships across all tiers of government. And that's what tonight is about. Wyndham City Council believes in strongly advocating to our elected representatives in the interests of our community and working with our counterparts in the state government to ensure we're building a livable city. But we also believe we hold a unique position and responsibility to ensure our residents have the opportunity to hear directly from their candidates at the election. So thank you again to the candidates for being here tonight. I'm told today has been the first day of pre-poll early voting, and I also know how busy all of you are with your campaign, so I really appreciate you taking the time with us this evening. We also would like to thank all of you at home for joining us and tuning in, and we hope you get some value out of the evening this evening. While we won't be able to take any of your questions live here tonight, we will collate all of the questions that are put in the comments section and provide them to our candidates. Tonight's event is not a debate between candidates, but a forum. It's an opportunity for us to hear from candidates to help residents make up their own mind about who the next member for Werribee should be. There won't be questions from candidates to each other, and we urge all candidates to talk about themselves and what they want to do for Werribee instead of talking about other candidates. Council is apolitical and is hosting this forum on behalf of the community. Every candidate was contacted by our team at Wyndham City Council, and we're really pleased that 10 candidates are participating in tonight's forum. Tonight's questions are general in nature and will hopefully elicit meaningful responses from candidates about the reasons they're running for the incredible area of Werribee. Candidates will be asked questions in alphabetical order, and then we'll rotate the order to make it fair for everyone. So without further ado, unless there are any questions, we will dive straight in. So first we'd like to receive introductions from each candidate, where you can include a little bit about yourself, your connection with Werribee, and why you've put your name forward to be the first new member for Werribee in 18 years. And I might hand over to you, Matthew, to kick off.
Thank you very much, Stephen, and welcome everyone tonight. It's a real privilege to be here, and I just want to say thank you to the Council for putting on tonight. It's a great initiative. I think it's a fantastic idea. So thank you very much to Mayor Shaw and to yourself, Stephen, and to CEO Chris Van. Yes, I'd introduce myself. So hi, you might have seen me around because I've actually lived in Werribee for the best part of 40 years. I'm 38 years old. My wife, Renee, and I, we live here now with our 5 young children. My oldest daughter is 10. And we had 4 daughters, and my son has just turned 3 years old. I've lived here my whole life. I went to Werribee Primary School, and I want to say hi and thanks to my teachers. You did an amazing job. Thank you for all your leadership and support. I went to Werribee Secondary College after that. And since then, we've actually moved out of our family home, and we've bought a home here in Werribee because we love Werribee so much. And so we still call this place our home. I work here locally. I'm an IT professional. I work right on the main street. So I really enjoy that. I enjoy serving the customers that I serve who are also locals. I really enjoy being a part of it. My wife and I, we're parents of faith, and it really strikes me actually that Wyndham's 70% religious. We're a highly religious area. We're people of faith, and so one thing that we're really passionate about is that our faith-based schools, are very important to this community. We have some excellent faith-based schools, but I will talk about that later on, Stephen. But Thank you so much. I'm representing the Family First Party in this election, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the discussion tonight.
Thank you, Matthew. Paul.
Norris, thank you. And again, thank you to the council for putting on this forum. I think it's a great initiative, great for the community and great for us as candidates. Paul Hopper, born in Werribee. I'm 51 years of age, lived in the area for 49 or 51 years. Schooling for me started at Werribee Primary out there in Wyndham Vale, then across to Manor Vale when that opened up, and finished my schooling at Westbourne Grammar and Truganina. Professionally, I left school, did a small stint at university, and then joined the family business in automotive retail, which I still serve in that capacity. We've always had dealerships in and around Werribee and Hoppers Crossing. Why I'm standing as an independent is because the very, very loud chorus of my tribespeople out here in Werribee that want change. I could sit back and join the chorus of people wanting change, but I've just got that streak in me that's prepared to stand up for the people I care about, the people that I've grown up with, live alongside of, and this is my second time standing as an independent candidate here in the Werribee electorate. So I'm standing for you, the people of Werribee. And I mean that with all my heart. It's the only reason I'm coming forward, and I believe I've got the skills, the diplomacy skills, and the action focused mindset to get results if elected and put into Spring Street. I don't know that we've ever had an independent in Spring Street in the western suburbs. You put me in there, and together we'll get a fair bit done, much to the disagreement of probably the major parties. We deserve better in the West and in Werribee. We pay our fair share of taxes. I've got to finish up. Okay.
Yep. No, thank you, Paul. So we're going to run a tight time frame this evening. So if you hear the bell, we'll have to wrap it up. John.
Thank you, Stephen, and thank you to everyone watching tonight. My name is John Lister. I'm the Labor candidate for the Werribee district in this by-election. Werribee's my home. I grew up here, and like many others, I want to build my life here. I'm a teacher at Wyndham Central College, and shout out to any students or colleagues who are watching tonight. And I'm a volunteer firefighter at Werribee Fire Brigade. I'm putting my hand up for the same reason, to be our local Labor MP, for the same reason that I do these other things in my life, to make a difference to our community. As a teacher, I see how our families are under pressure, and growing up here, I've seen how fast our community has grown. Labor's made progress, opening 7 new schools and upgraded 2 more, removed level crossings and invested over $1 billion through our Western Roads upgrade. We've built the largest police station outside the CBD and put 144 additional police on the beat. We've built the critical care unit at the Mercy Hospital, and we're doubling the emergency department right now. As a local, I've seen and I've used these things every day. Labor's going to deliver cost of living relief to working families, and deliver the Ison Road link and Ballan Road upgrades to ease congestion and get you home sooner. I'm also proud that we will build a new modern interchange at the Werribee Main Road and Princess Freeway interchange there. But I'm not sitting here pretending that there's not more that we need to do. The fastest growing demographic in our community are 25 to 35-year-olds wanting to start a family and lay down roots here in Werribee and Wyndham Vale, Manor Lakes, Manburn, Harpley. I understand the pressures that families are facing because I see them too. I'm a renter trying to buy my first home. I work with families who are doing it tough. People deserve a local who is in their corner, ready to fight for them every day. And that's exactly what I'll do. Werribee needs more, and I'll be a strong local voice in government, delivering for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Shari.
Hi everyone, my name is Shura Mansouri. Hi everyone, my name is Shura Mansouri. I'm the candidate for Animal Justice Party. I may read a statement that I've written. 20 years ago, my husband and I left our home country, Iran, and landed on this beautiful continent full of fear and hope. This country felt like a utopia. Basic things of life were affordable even for us whom didn't have much money. I remember one of the early phone conversations with my mom, knowing that none of us still had a job. She asked me, "Baby, are you going hungry?" I laughed and said, "Mom, don't worry. Meat here is cheaper than apples that you buy there." The political freedom was unimaginable for me. When I learned that ABC was a government-funded TV channel and observing how freely the channel criticized the very government gave me so much joy and pride. I was living in a real democracy. In Iran, street children who beg for money are everywhere. When I arrived here in Melbourne back in 2005, there were only a handful of homeless people. I knew them by face. They were that few. It's 20 years on and things have changed. I have become more educated. For example, I learned that the reason for cheap meat is that others are paying the price. It is being paid by underpaid slaughterhouse workers that work in awful conditions. It is also paid by millions and millions of animals that are factory farmed and live in horrible, dense, and torturous conditions. Things have also changed for worse. The basic needs are not affordable anymore. 3.4 million Australian households are experiencing food insecurity. And we have 30,000 homeless people in Victoria. I just finished by this sentence. I joined the party that unapologetically have kindness, equality, rationality, and nonviolence as their value. Kindness for all, animals, people, planet. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. Aidan.
Thank you, Steve, and thank you to the council for putting this on, and all to the champions that sit around the table by me. It's not easy to put your hat into the public arena. It's one of the most humbling experiences of putting your job application out there. So well done to each and every single one of you. I hope that we as a community can agree to disagree a lot better than we have in the past. And I do congratulate each and one of you for what you're championing, even though we may or may not agree. Thanks very much. My connection to Werribee, well, back in the 60s, my father in the Hotel Werribee now was a seminary in Corpus Christi. Dad did 4 years. He was determined to be a priest. He turned around and met Mum and had 9 kids instead, and that's why I'm here. That's my connection back from the 60s, albeit I was probably not living and breathing at the time. But I would like to, your dad was here a lot longer before than I was. My second connection was Werribee. I looked up for a car on car sales, and lo and behold, did I know, it came from a place called Hyundai in Werribee, which is old Hopper's place. So 6 weeks later, I'm getting the keys, and that's my second connection. So it's been a while since I've been back. I was born in Darwin. I did went to Newcastle, then Eden Park. I've lived in Echuca. I've lived in Mornington at Safety Beach, and also out west in Hamilton. So I have lived in the great east, north and west of Victoria, and I have a very good sense and a pulse of who Victorians are and what we need. I did work experience at Queensland Parliament House at 15 years old, and I remember looking in the public gallery and I thought if these Muppets could be representations, then anyone can. So I was actually motivated to roll my sleeves up and get cracking. I ended up in a boys band, touring the shopping centres with a band called Taxi Ride, with their Get Set single at the time in '97. Then we decided to get a bit gruntish, and then I ended up in a rock band as a lead singer. Then cut my hair, got a real job, joined the infantry, army, best thing I ever did at 17 years old. And I think since then I've been a councillor in Queensland, Environment Sustainability Chair. I've come down and I've been a councillor obviously here as well. And I'm ready to rock and roll because Werribee needs $1 billion, and there's someone with the experience that can get it, is myself. Thank you.
Thank you, Aidan. Xavier.
Hello everyone, my name is Xavier Menter. I am a born and raised son of the West. I studied at VU and I now work as a horticulturalist and a community sports coach. This is my first time doing anything like this, so please forgive me for my nervousness. As a horticulturalist, I'm normally working with plants and they do not answer back. As you may have guessed, LCV, we want law reform around cannabis use. Just last year, some 9,000 Victorians fell foul of the law simply for having cannabis on their person, and we want to change that. Me, myself, I'm a Medcan patient. I am immediately subjected to discrimination in our society, from driving restrictions to workplace stigma. The amount of times that I was told I was the perfect candidate for that job, but because I consume medicinal cannabis, I am off that list. The current laws make it extremely difficult for patients to live their life. I have seen how cannabis brings spring into people's steps. In terms of this by-election, LCV has the same priorities that our elected representatives have been fighting for since being elected. You might ask, what has LCV done for the citizens of Werribee since we've been in? Firstly, we know traffic in and around Werribee is bloody awful. Our roads are poorly designed, badly maintained and inadequate for the volume, but major upgrades take years. That is why LCV has been campaigning for major bus upgrades to link people to work, shops and train stations, and it can be done quickly and at a modest cost. LCV is also campaigning for public infrastructure like swimming pools, libraries, parks and community services, something Werribee desperately needs. The rapid growth of Werribee needs to be balanced with the environment too. We are very proud of the support that we provided to the Little River community in blocking the atrocious Pacific Nation freight terminal. It would have destroyed the town and the local environment, and it would have seen hundreds of additional trucks driving through Werribee each and every day. Vote 1 to free the leaf. Thank you.
Thank you, Xavier. Ages.
Yeah, thank you. Firstly, I'd like to congratulate Council for organizing being an independent. I feel how important it is to the community to listen from the independent and local voices. So my name is Ijaz Moinuddin. I'm standing as an independent candidate for this upcoming by-elections. So it's very important for Werribee, as we all know, because it has been for too long, we have been neglected, rejected and denied the development and the growth we deserve. It's very crucial for us. These elections is a chance to put an end to that. So therefore, I raise my hand to stand as an independent and put a voice locally, an independent voice to our community. On professional side, I come from an IT background. I have studied masters in IT from Sydney. I came to Wyndham in 2011, and my first job was in Wyndham with Adidas on Palmers Road, where I started my career there in IT fields. From there on, I'm currently working with the public transport as an IT consultant. My passion is for the community. So I volunteered with Red Cross, ASRC to make lives better. So it's very important for me how to make the livable city of a person, of a city, and how to make the importance of the crucial time of like these elections. So the vision for me is to make the West strong, the Wyndham strong, and Werribee strong. To make that real investments to bring into the infrastructure, health, safety, what we are lacking right now. That's where the main aim is. The mission for me is to empower the communities, not only Wyndham, Werribee, Tarnet, and across the suburbs, which is very crucial because we have been, as you know, it has been challenging for each and everyone. And we have seen the Werribee, what's Werribee is required. The council has put many advocacies for the development of this regional area. I would like to end by take your chance. This is the opportunity to make the change we deserve. And it is the opportunity, we have to make it count. Thank you.
Thank you, Ajay. Cody.
Alrighty, my name's Cody. I'm an independent candidate in the upcoming by-election. First of all, I want to thank Council for putting together this community forum at such short notice. I think that state and federal governments need to work simultaneously with Council for the issues that we face here in Werribee. A little bit about me. I am 25 years old, was born here in 2000 at the Werribee Mercy Hospital before the major upgrades. My whole family's from here. My pop lived out in Winnebelle when it was paddocks. There was no houses out there. His first house on Featherbrook Drive before making the move into Werribee because he was struggling with driving in and out of Winnebelle. I went to school at Glenorden Primary School, which is now known as Wyndham Park Primary School. I played football at the local football club there at Glenorden Football Club before moving over to play in a higher level at Winnebelle Football Club, where my parents are founding members of that club. The reason I am running is for change. Werribee needs to change. We need to be delivering on what we're promising for our community. Obviously, our transport is a major issue as well as crime. So making sure that our infrastructure can keep up with the amount of people that are here in the West. Government has let us down for so many years. In 2020, we were promised the Baland Road upgrade, which we're still waiting on that to be delivered. So I'm committed, I'm dedicated. In 2020, I ran for the council elections in the Werribee ward, made the commitment to the Wyndham and Tarneet direct link via Hobbs Road and Sayers Road. That's something that I'm still committed to. Obviously, police station out in Wyndham is something I'm majorly committed to because of the crime rate out in that area.
Thank you, Cody. Steve.
My name is Steve Murphy. This by-election is an opportunity to vote for the change that Werribee needs. I have lived here, raised my kids here, volunteered here, and worked here for 30 years. My background, I'm an ex-policeman, I'm ex-army. I did 10 years local government, of which a number of those years were here at Wyndham. And I've been in real estate for 27 years here in Wyndham. I still come to work every day in the main street. There's been a bit of a, I suppose, a hit on me trying to say that I'm not local. I'm local. I've been on the boards of the schools. I was on the board of MacKillop for 7 years. I was president of the athletics club, Wyndham Track and Field, down in Hoppers Lane, and I've been on numerous other boards and things in the area. I did shift out in COVID to be within a 5-kilometre radius of my children, so I could see my children. I'm a family man, and but I still came to work every day in Werribee. I rent in Essendon. It's a problem very easily fixed, unlike the problems that the Labor government have caused for the city of Werribee, or the city of Wyndham. Why am I running? And I got asked that, and it's a good question, because I care. I love Werribee. I love the people of Werribee. It's where I've lived the longest in my life. I moved around a lot as a child. It's my home. And I basically, I've nominated purely because Werribee needs more. They've been ignored totally by the government. They've had power here for the last 43 years, and they haven't done it.
Thank you, Steve. Rifai, last but not least.
I'm Rifai Rahim, Greens candidate for Werribee. I would like to begin with acknowledging the traditional owners of the land where we meet today. I pay my respect to past, present elders. Dear friends and who are watching this today, I'd like to deliver a message that I'm always a community person. I have done many works. I have delivered multi-million projects with the support of the community in this area. Over 30 years community services, last 15 years in this area. I feel I suffer the lack of facilities in this area. Mainly why I stood this in the election, I want to become an advocate of these issues. Already I started some campaigns. We need more education institute in this area. Thousands of signatures I collected, I went. Again, the safety of Wyndham, Safe Wyndham campaign I started, then again we went. And recently, better bus services for Wyndham. So these are the campaigns I was advocating. In this election, I want the endorsement by the people. I am representing a party which fundamentally believe the grassroots democracy. We want to go from the grassroots level. Therefore, my priorities are transport, infrastructure on transport, education, and health. Therefore, if you can give me an opportunity, I will do my best. Thank you.
Thank you, Rifai. And thank you, candidates. We did invite all candidates this evening tonight, but I really appreciate the 10 candidates that have turned up tonight, and we know a little bit more about you all now, so thank you for your introductions. Our next question, we're allowing about a minute and a half, so let's jump to the point. We often hear that transportation is one of the biggest priorities of residents here in our city. What, in your view, are the transport needs for Werribee going to be over the next 5 to 10 years? And what can you do to keep transport priorities front and centre? We might start with you, Rifai.
We need better public transport, better buses and more railway stations. And again, our party has launched a campaign, 50 cents transport, public transport. This is 2 ways we are offering cost of living relief and better access to the public that will create less people on the road with their own vehicle and bring them to public transport.
Yep. Steve, transportation?
I suppose the prime thing, when they put in the regional rail link, the second part of it was electrifying from the line from Werribee through to Wyndham Vale, and when they were doing that, building 2 new stations. It's been promised by the Labor Party at past elections. It hasn't been done, and it's still waiting to be done. I think for the next 5 to 10 years, that's paramount. And obviously, once they're in, linking good bus services through to all those stations, so people don't have to be half an hour from a bus or, you know, for transport. It desperately needs it.
Thank you, Steve. Cody?
I'm committed to delivering the Bland Road upgrade, so duplicating that road, which was something that Labor promised back in 2022. Another thing, I sit in 45-minute traffic to get from Wyndham Vale out to Tarneet. So definitely getting that direct link via Hobbs Road and Sayers Road from out there. And then looking at our bus services and public transport, making sure that everybody has access to them. Also looking at our other major roads, so Tarneet Road, Derrimut Road, Heath Road, they cannot deal with the amount of traffic that is on them every day. So looking at upgrading those roads, duplicating them and making sure that everyone can get home faster.
Thank you. Jess?
Yeah, for me, it's just a holistic picture because we have been denied. We lack a lot of infrastructure compared to any other suburbs if we compare. Even the roads, or you want to go by the rail or the buses, it's highly impossible because there is lack of parking, no duplication of road, or no space in the train. Other day, every morning, if you stand on the Tarneet station, you never get a seat. And you never get home by the time you like to come back, because there is no space to come in or come out. So there is no local connectivity. So I want some data-driven approaches for this council to be pushing across. And also we need some road duplications and we need to electrify the trains. We can't continue with the 18 trains going to Sunshine every hour. We need more trains. Holistically, we need every 15 minutes a train in the morning peak hours. Right now it's 25, 30 minutes and after 9 o'clock there is no trains. Either way, the hopper crossing or in the other side of the thing. The thing is that we are gone by the policies which are not, which community needs more, and we are gone by the political policies. Instead of community first policies, we are cherry picking. I feel like that's very unethical for the community, which is growing community. I feel very bad on the policies right now and the approach which has been taken. I want community first approach holistically for the transport and the road.
Thank you. Xavier?
Yeah, there needs to be a comprehensive approach with tackling the traffic in the area. Major road upgrades are going to take a very long time and going to cost a lot of money. So public transport improvements will be a really quick fix to the problem, and it won't be as expensive to the taxpayer as well. 100 million overlay and $100 million per year, and that will connect 1 million people to within a 15-minute walk who currently aren't within 15 minutes to a bus stop. So that will be a big start. The Better Buses campaign is something that LCV has been working on for the past 18 months in collaboration with Friends of Earth, as we're trying to provide a rapid way to make major improvements. So myself and David Edershank will be down at the rally this coming Saturday, so you can say hello and give us a shout out there.
Thank you. Aidan, transport needs for Werribee?
Thanks, Steve. We need a 50-year vision. The problem is that we have these election cycles of 3-4 years. You probably get about 18 months of governance at the best. Most people spend their time swapping preferences for the next election. The reality is until we get our helicopter view and we start thinking ahead and decentralise, remember that word, decentralise. We don't do enough of it. We've got anthills everywhere. Did anyone know that we've got about 90%, 90% subsidised in public transport? That means for every $1 that you spend, the government's already spending $9. Okay, I'll beat the Greens to it. Why haven't we got free transport? We should have had it 10 years ago. Free public transport increases patronage, that takes more cars off the road, okay? The Greens are still trying to sting you for 50 cents a trip. That's ridiculous. That's $182.50 one way every year. That's a shop at Aldi. It should have been free public transport 20 years ago. They got a $16 billion blowout in a tunnel that won't even come to fruition properly. We should have had free public transport. Increase your patronage, decentralise. Okay, we've got 150,000 people coming in the outskirts of Werribee, the fastest, rapidly growing area. We should be not worrying about our current infrastructure, worry about our future infrastructure. Okay, we need to build on it now, not in 10 years' time, because it'll be 3 times the price. Spend good money now rather than bad money later. We need to decentralise. We need free public transport. Innovative policies. Spend a little bit of money now and save a whole lot more in the future. We've got to get smart people, 50-year vision.
Thank you, Aidan. Shari.
Okay, so I guess I said that I'm from Animal Justice Party and we are for people, animals, planet. So I'd like to consider all of these things when I talk about transport. Most importantly, we want to have sustainable transport, therefore, of course, we need highways and all of that when there is congestion, but studies shown that every time you have a new highway, it takes about 3 to 5 years until the highways are again filled with cars. So we definitely need to focus more and more on public transports and also other ways of commute, like bike lanes. But it's also something that's indirectly important here is if we want people to use public transport and bike lanes and walk, we need to make sure our streets are safe. Werribee and the around areas, they have a really high rate of crimes reported. It's really high up when you look across Australia. And I think we need to address that. And the reason for having crime rates, I think, is we have big social justice issues here. We need to address the social justice problems that we have in the area. We need to create skill building opportunities. We need to create jobs and community engagement and leadership development, and with cultural collaboration, we need to address that as well.
Thank you, Shari. John?
Thank you, Stephen. Like a lot of you watching, I drive on these roads every day, and like all of you, I know that congestion is something that makes it difficult to get to and from home. And I know that we need more local congestion and local connections to fight this congestion. A lot of work is underway. Just today I was down at Pre-Pole and I saw a very brightly coloured vehicle driving down Sinnott Street, Princess Highway. It's one of our road inspection vehicles from the Western Roads upgrade, over $1 billion into upgrading our local roads like Sinnott Street, Princess Highway, Bolan Road and Duncans Road. Yesterday I joined the Mayor to check out the progress and announce new contracts for construction on the Ison Road overpass and the extension down to West Road, something I know Council's very supportive of. We're also upgrading Bolan Road, getting rid of that notorious roundabout at Greens Road near the KFC. But top of my list when I became candidate was securing funding to upgrade the Werribee Main Road interchange. Just like a lot of you, I've been stuck on that off-ramp, and I knew that we needed to get something done. And that's why I'm thrilled that the federal and state Labor government have fully funded this project. It's going to bust congestion in the western side of Werribee and get families home sooner. But I also know we need better public transport connections, particularly buses. This is why we've funded new bus routes, and I'll make sure these get delivered. We've also delivered more car parks at Regional Rail Link, more stabling at Wyndham Vale to help trains start and stop from Wyndham Vale and increase capacity there. And I know there's more to do, but I'll keep fighting for better transport for our city.
Thank you, John. Paul?
Yeah, thank you. Transport needs next 5 years. I think they're really well documented by our community. The Western Interchange at the freeway, John just touched on it. It should be fully funded by the state, in my view, and not co-funded with federal. What happens if the federal election doesn't go the Labor Party's ways? It won't happen. It'll be another unfulfilled promise. Balan Road upgrade, that was promised at the last election, still hasn't started. I don't think you can promise the same thing twice. I've had enough. I think our community's had enough. We need more. We don't need the projects on the eastern side that most of those start with a B, as in billions, whilst we sit one of the fastest growing areas in Australia without the basic infrastructure that we need. Balan Road should have been updated 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and I agree wholeheartedly with the northern link across the river connecting Manor Lakes to Tarneet, to our sports facilities out there. Again, that's something that should be absolutely fast-tracked and funded by state government. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. And Matthew, bring us home.
Thanks. I couldn't agree with you more, Paul. I just am getting really tired and sick, and I think you guys are just sick and tired of hearing about promises from the Labor government. I mean, you've probably received their letterbox drop in the mail. As Steve Murphy said, they've had power here for 40 plus years, and the best thing they can do is come up with 6 points about what they've delivered. I'm not surprised that's all they can think of, and I'll just give you a clue. One of those things isn't actually something that they've delivered, it's actually something that's still to be worked on. We're sick and tired of hearing promises from the Labor Party. This is no attack on you, by the way, John. John and I have met a few times before he's a candidate. I think he's a nice guy. And all the things that are on that list that Labor talk about having delivered, to be honest, I'm very confident that anyone else could have done the same thing. And I asked the questions, what about the rest of the claims that are being made by Labor? Why was the Werribee emergency room not upgraded 30, 40 years ago? Why are we still talking about Balan Road interchange? Why has that not been upgraded yet? I'd love to hear answers to these questions, by the way, because we're not hearing answers, we're just hearing more and more promises. Why are we still talking about Ice on Road? Of course we're going to do Ice on Road, but it should have been done before we were building all of our homes in that area. But I also want to, I think we'll talk about this in a minute, Stephen, is that I think we need to change the flow of traffic as well. And I'm really passionate about small business here. My family's been here my whole life. My extended family still live here. And some of us run our own small businesses here. You know, if we can have more small businesses here in this area, we're actually in our cars a lot less. And so I think that's a really important thing to focus on, to change the flow and the direction of traffic.
Thank you, Matthew. Some great ideas there. So there you go, community. You've heard about the views of candidates when it comes to transport. Our next question. Wyndham City Council has spent a lot of time talking about the East Werribee Employment Precinct. The 775 hectare East Werribee Precinct is the largest undeveloped surplus state government land in metropolitan Melbourne and comprises of the 400 hectare site known as the East Werribee Major Development Parcel. Activating the East Werribee Precinct is expected to create 60,000 jobs, support existing community needs and cater for future growth of the state. So what are your views, candidates, on the future of East Werribee and more specifically creating jobs in the Werribee area? Again, candidates, you'll have about a minute and a half for this one, so don't dilly-dally. I'll start with you, Aidan.
No. Fantastic.
Oh, sorry, Aidan. Yep, sorry, went the wrong way. My list is wrong.
There's only one Aidan running in here that would confuse everybody. Thanks, Steve. Listen, what happens if the employment, we've heard of these figures, and look, it is a lot of fluff and bubbles. I'm tired of the 60,000, 80,000. Yes, these are concepts and they're aspirational. What we need now is local jobs now. These kids have a lack of self-esteem, they have a lack of direction. It's completely linked to crime because they need meaningful employment. Now, I've been a teacher pre and post-COVID and I still am. I can tell you there's a seismic shift in the next generation. A lot of them are switched off because the heart and soul has been ripped out of Werribee. These kids need hope. And with hope, you've got to get them out of school if they're not supposed to be there, treading water, possibly daydreaming or looking at TikTok. Well, not even TikTok anymore these days. The reality is, we need to give them a vision, we need to give them hope, we've got to get them into the workforce sooner, and we've got to give them job opportunities. That starts with council giving local jobs to local contractors. Therefore, you'll have a quicker turnaround, you will save money, and you stop cost shifting from state to council, because what will happen, the more cost shifting you get, the higher the rates go up, your employment opportunities are absolutely compromised, and then people have to travel into the city to try and go on a low wage. Or, better still, they go on benefits because it's not worth it because of all the traffic. The reality is we need to empower and decentralise. Decentralised, think big, think car plants, think things that we can do. A Silicon Valley should be here in Werribee. We've got so many ideas and so much expertise, but unfortunately we have a lack of vision from the politicians because they're wined and dined by the multinationals, and what we need is local people being locally empowered to create local jobs, because our grandchildren are about to, and our children are about to pay a huge debt from intergenerational theft.
Thank you, Aidan. Xavier, do you want to have a go next?
Yeah, I believe the precinct needs to be fast-tracked so that more locals can live a lot closer to work, as currently most residents of Werribee do actually have to travel outside of our district just to get to work. That obviously has an environmental cost, it has a financial cost as well. I believe in Werribee, you know, most households actually have as well three cars, which all further contributes to the cost of living. I would also say, actually, that if we legalise cannabis, the amount of jobs that will bring to a statewide as well would be absolutely fantastic. It would also be great for the economy. We can also make a lot of money if we tax it. I'll leave it there.
Thank you very much, Rifai. Jobs in East Werribee.
Thank you. My take on this, because now as Werribee faced a lot of issues, we are talking about the youth engagement, the job creations. And again, I was frequently talking about the education institutes, the tertiary institutes, the various universities in this area. So East Werribee precinct should include that. At the moment, it was only the allowance for schools. We had to include the tertiary institute as well. So as that way, so this community is going to benefit from this. But this project has been talking for longer time. We need to fast track. We had to make it quicker. So if I've been elected, I will advocate for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Rifai. Matthew, you got a view?
Yeah, well, for me, it's pretty simple maths. I understand there's about 56,000 voters in this electorate, and you're telling me that in East Werribee we can get 60,000 jobs. So the math's pretty simple to me. I'm a real big supporter of local jobs. I just want you to know that for the most part of my working life, I have gotten on the trains. I have done the drive across the city, and I hate that because I hate the cost of the petrol, even the cost of the train tickets. I hate the impact on the environment. I think it's wrong. And I don't understand why we're still talking about ways to create jobs in Werribee. We've got so much space. We've got some amazing people here with a lot of talents and experience. We can do it if we just knuckle down, and this is not an empty promise. Absolutely, if you vote One Family First, if I can represent this beautiful city, I'll be absolutely fighting for East Werribee Precinct. I think it's a fantastic thing. And as I said before, it changes the direction of the traffic, and it actually makes the challenge and the big challenge that this Labor government has left for us with transport and things like that a little bit easier, and we might be able to come up with more creative ways to deal with that. So please get behind me and vote One Family First, please.
Thanks, Matthew. Cody, do you want to have a go?
All right. I'm not going to harp too much on East Werribee Precinct. Obviously, it's a great project bringing 60,000 jobs to the Werribee area. I think that council and government's priorities need to be on traffic, congestion, crime before we even think about going at this large amount of land and bringing jobs here. So we need to work for the people that are here already before we start to bring in more people, 60,000 more people, with roads that can't even handle the amount of people that we have here.
Good call. John.
Thank you, Stephen. This is an opportunity not many communities get to develop a precinct that is centred around jobs and future industries. The government released an opportunity statement, and it shows that we want to see an appropriate mix of housing and employment areas in this part of Werribee. I'd encourage everyone who is interested to participate in the opportunity statement process and work with that stakeholder reference group. We've already shown how this area can be developed with a focus on employment and community services through our new police complex and courts, the Wyndham Tech School and Suzanne Corey High, our health partners and expanded Mercy Hospital. I had the chance to talk to the Minister for Precincts last week and express the importance that we get this right and we don't just rush into it. I will work with the community every step of the way as we embrace this huge opportunity. But when we talk about jobs more specifically, Labor is all about supporting working families to get good local jobs. We're driving employment locally with our investment in Ice and Roads, 600 new jobs. Our new overpass will create 1,000 new jobs. And last week I met with the Premier and spoke to people starting and finishing their apprenticeships on Labor government-funded sites like Footscray Hospital and even down here at the Werribee Emergency Department. So I'm all for creating good local jobs to help working families.
Thank you. Steve.
Does anyone remember Werribee Education City? Millions got spent on it. It went through tender. It was all granted and done. And then for some unknown reason, Dan Andrews just cancelled it about 3 or 4 years ago. This is an amazing bit of land. It is an opportunity. And it is the future of Werribee is in here. It's the wasted time on it already from the government has been terrible, but it is where there is going to be employment. It is you know what you're looking at is the capacity of a Parramatta Sydney. It's been able to be Melbourne's second city as such. It is such an opportunity for employment worth billions to the city of Werribee, the city of Wyndham. It is incredible. It's been wasted by the current government. It has been, as I said, how many millions got wasted on it has got to be amazing. And we've already lost, 10 years. So it was started by the Liberal government before Labor came to power. For 10 years, they've gone out to tender and stuffed it up. We need better.
Thank you, Steve. Jess?
Yeah, I think this hub need to be developed with the future perspective, because the young generation, what we are looking for the technologies and engineering side of things, the STEM thing, what we like to see, those sort of hubs need to be integrated in this one as a first project, so that the young kids know what the future lies there. So it should be a phase-wise. We shouldn't be rushing it, as everyone is saying, but because this is a holistic picture of 60,000 jobs and homes and infrastructure, so it need to be taken a proper planning with proper advocacy and community consultation. So it is, for me, it is one of the rare opportunity we will get close to the city like Melbourne. It will be really hard to get that much of block, and this is the opportunity we have to utilize with both hands. So it is an opportunity for each and every community member and council and everyone who gets elected to advocate and do in a proper way, which is communities benefit, especially the young kids. I want some hubs there, education hubs, engineering hubs. I want those sort of things there, so that the future someone wants to see, they want to see that. So that's where very important for me, not the jobs. I want to see the future there. Thank you.
Thank you. Shari, creation of jobs in East Werribee?
Sure. I mean, it sounds great to have more jobs, 60,000 jobs, as you say, but I see things as interconnected. We also need to make sure we educate our people to be able to pick those jobs if they are available. Our education system is underfunded. Our teachers are not well looked after. They have the hardest job, I think, at the moment. My husband is a teacher. I know how much anxiety they have to go through because their classes are overpopulated and they're not well paid and well looked after. And the education system is not affordable. Yes, we should make jobs, but we should also make education easily available and accessible to our people. And our education system should be better quality so that our people are ready to have those jobs. Thank you.
Thank you, Shari. And Paul?
Yeah, thank you. Werribee East, really frustrating. I got my first glossy of the development plans for that, I think around 2012. So it's really frustrating to me as a local resident that nothing's happened with it. Local jobs, as well as taking pressure off roads and public transport, also give time back to families, so they're spending less time on trains and in their cars and more time with their families and children and the leisure activities that they want to do. So should have happened a long time ago, should be fast-tracked. State government own the land. They could, I'm not an expert, they could sell that to developers, joint ventures, whatever the case is, unlock it, get the jobs going. It's just taken way too long. Pretty frustrated.
Thank you, Paul. Our next question, we've spoken at length about transport and jobs, two issues that are consistently raised by residents here at Council. But the final question is, what is the policy area that you're most passionate about? What do you think is the biggest challenge and, most importantly, the biggest opportunity facing the Werribee area? And what do you intend to do about it? We'll start with you, Matthew.
Thank you, Stephen. I think it's important just to understand, how much we've changed here. As I said, this is my hometown, and I've watched it change over the years, and I'm quite excited to where we've come. And I also want to say congratulations to anyone who's living in this beautiful city that got their citizenship on Australia Day. So congrats to you. That's awesome. We're really excited for you. But some important things to know about Wyndham and about Werribee is that, we've got a lot of statistics that are well above the national average. There's on average 2 children every household here. There's a lot of kids in our community, and 65% of our community is under the age of 40. We're really young, and that's well above the national average. You may not know this, that I think I said this earlier, that 70% of us are religious. Faith is really important to us. There's a lot of faith-based families in this area. So our faith-based schools are also really important to us, and we've got some excellent faith-based schools in this area. 50% of us don't speak English as our first language. It's incredible, and that was on the 2021 census, and I think that's changed a lot since. We're very diverse. We've got everything from ultra-wealthy, generational family businesses. I'm not pointing at anyone next to me right now. Paul's a great guy, by the way. But we've also got, people like Warren on the street, sits out the front of Coles and plays his guitar. We've got a lot of different hyper-localised challenges here. Depends which side of the tracks you live on, or which side of the second set of tracks that you now live on, which makes it really difficult. We've got land that's agricultural and all the way through to high-density residential now in the heart of Werribee. We've got awesome schools. We've got amazing teachers here. We've got schools like Westbourne in the area that's $26,000 a year, and we've got some public schools with some very lovely, humble communities that just aren't at that, don't have that funding level, and I think schools do need more funding. And I think the other thing that the government's let us down here is that they're not coughing up their fair share of funding to public schools. Sorry, just another problem I have with that. As we've talked about, life can be different for people here depending on how much they rely on transport, and I'm an absolute advocate for local jobs. As I said, I've spent a lot of time travelling on the train and in the car. I've been absolutely blessed to be able to walk to work these last few years, and I want that for everybody. There's 56,000 voting age people here. That's 56,000 working age people here, and I want them and their children to have the opportunities to work locally and spend more time with their family. As I've said, I've got a young family. I've got 4 daughters and a little boy, and as I said, Wyndham's very much a family orientated place, and I want to fight for families here. The cost of living here has just become absolutely unmanageable, and I want to specifically say that I'll be fighting to cut power prices, because I know that underpins everything. I work in business, and I know power prices underpins that. I know that when I buy groceries at the supermarket, I know that power prices influence that. And I just want to bring and fight for some common sense back into power. And I want to say for a real rethink of the net zero policies. And I just want to bring some common sense back into that. And I say, if we don't do something about the net zero, the only thing I assure you will be net zero will be the bank balance of every working class family in this area. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. I should have reminded candidates you've got about 3 minutes to respond to this question, so Matthew did very well. Paul, your pet policy position.
Yeah, thank you. For me, at the moment, public safety, crime is an issue at the moment. It's a big issue. It's what I'm hearing at street level. And I've spent a fair bit of time talking with police union, school teachers, youth workers, and other associated community groups working in this space. I think the issue is complicated. Not going to say that I've got all the answers or a magic wand or anything, but if elected, it would be an area of policy I would enjoy immensely working with those groups that I've just mentioned. Some of the things that I've learned, and it's difficult, how to solve these issues, but I see crime and public safety in 2 phases at the moment. There's the pre-crime phase. What are youth doing before they go down the wrong path in life, and how can we as a community get around them through sport, through youth workers, through schools, having better support for their student welfare officers to get wraparound services to students they see, perhaps just the early signs of heading down the wrong path. Police, well documented in our area, we're 40 short at the Werribee station, 40 short as well at Wyndham North. That's a big chunk, and we're not doing our hard-working police officers any service by allowing that still to be the case. So paying conditions need to be sorted out for them, irregardless of the agreements that have been put in place recently. And I think we need tougher bail laws as well, especially for repeat offenders. In talking with police, it's their number one issue in that area, is they're sick of putting the same individuals back through the system, back through magistrate courts and seeing them walking the streets and giving them the bird on the way out. So they need to feel consequences, especially the more advanced offenders. Not so much the first-time offenders in youth, obviously, but the more advanced, they need to feel the full brunt of their consequences, and that needs to be a deterrent. So that'd be something that, if elected, I'd absolutely passionately work with our community leaders and constituents to help solve. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. John?
Thank you. It's always dangerous asking your teacher what their passionate policy area is. It's definitely, my passion is for education and helping our young people get into good pathways and good jobs. But something that I've now come to realise is making sure that we help young people not only get that good pathway and that good education, but also bring it back to our community. This is something that's a little bit personal for me. When I was at MacKillop, a lot of people said, don't bother going to Melbourne Uni, don't bother trying to get the high scores. It's not worth it. Make sure we put down a second option. I said, no, I've only got one option. I want to go to Melbourne Uni because I want to prove that kids from our suburb can do it. And so I worked really hard, got a pretty decent ATAR and got my scholarship for Melbourne Uni. And I went there, and during orientation week, they were like, where are you from? And originally I was a little bit hesitant to say I was from Werribee because we all know what people say. It's not good, but it's uncomfortable when you hear it. And then after about a week or so, I was like, no, I'm from Werribee, and I'm proud that I'm here because I worked hard to get to this point. My teachers supported me, and that's something that I want to do as a Member of Parliament, is to help educators get more of our young people to those universities, to those really good pathway options, but ultimately, just like me, come home and use those skills here. I want our students from Werribee to get good pathways. We've done a lot already in government. We've introduced the vocational major, which means that people have a better pathway into those apprenticeships and TAFE. We've made free TAFE for those priority areas. We're doing a lot in our schools around middle year support and reading and numeracy targeted programs. We've got doctors in schools, mental health practitioners, and something I agree totally with Paul is that we need to help as much as we can our educators who are working with young people, because that will mean that they eventually come back with those skills to be able to help our community. I think what I've seen today, and I've been out to a few different schools, and especially some of the new schools, is just how vibrant these new communities that we've got around these brand new schools are. And as a Member of Parliament, I want to support those communities to continue to build that positive culture and that focus on not only getting ahead, but bringing it back. Families and young people need someone in their corner. And I think if anyone knows anything about teachers, if we see an issue, we will fight hard until we get some kind of result. A lot of my English class, and some of them might be watching, know that if I see someone who's slipping behind, I will do everything I can to help them pick up and get ahead. And I think that's what people in Werribee need. Someone who is in their corner, in government, able to get these things done. And so, just like I have as a teacher, I want to take this to Parliament.
Sherry, the policy you're most passionate about.
So my top 3 priorities are as such. I want to make sure that Werribee District gets the fair share of infrastructure funding to spend on the right projects, which I'm sure we have many. The second thing that I'll be focusing on is addressing cost of living relief. In particular, my party, we have introduced VetiCare, which is affordable vet care. We know that our pets are our family members, and we know that cost of living is impacting everyone, including how we can look after our pets. So I want to address that as a priority as well. And when it comes to animals, I'd like to end duck shooting in the local wetlands in Werribee District. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. Aidan?
Yeah, I think, look, you're all lovely people, okay, but there's no fighters around here. We need a fighter. You've got to get $1 billion in the next 2 years for Werribee. Okay, now you're lovely people, it's fine. Puppy dogs are fine. They need an Alsatian in there. That's exactly what we need if you want $1 billion in the next 2 years. Someone who's been there, done it, knows how to attract the funding and work both parties. Why? Because both parties, Liberal and Labor, are like Coke and Pepsi. The people are looking for fruit juice. And when fruit juice enters Spring Street, everything changes because there's going to be a ripple effect. John, you're a lovely guy. But you're a leader in the classroom, but I feel like you'll be a follower in the parliament. We don't need that. Okay, look, Tim Pellis, probably a lovely guy. Every time I went to the office, he was somewhere overseas. Another $1 million of our taxpayers' day and walked away. Ridiculous. Come on, guys, let's wake up. We need to start putting our ideas on the table. We need to understand that we need to clean up Werribee. And to do that, I will be announcing an introduction of a crime and rehabilitation bill. First minor offence, you'll be rostered on for a graffiti clean-up team. First serious offence, you'll go to a boot camp. Where? To the quarantine camp that's sitting empty out there in Hume, and the parent or guardian will drop them off because they are part of the solution if they're inconvenienced. Second serious offence, if you are 17 years or older, you now go to national service, minimum 12 months. I did it 17 years, best thing that ever happened. Mick Gatto and I will also be announcing tomorrow a self-defence in schools policy, because get rid of the woke agendas and stop bubble wrapping these kids. They're looking for boundaries. They're looking for self-esteem and self-worth. They need self-defence, absolutely. What do we need to do? Family First should have said this a long time ago. I have worked in the sector of education for a long time. Okay, stop over-sexualising our children. I'm sick of it. I deal with these people with gender dysphoria. I deal with the parents. Take your damn flags down out of childcare centres, out of kindies and out of primary schools. You have over-sexualised and hyper-sexualised our children. Stay away. Let the kids be kids. Let the parents be parents. And to the 70% of religious people in Werribee, please, I implore you, the parties around this table are not listening. They have a heavy ball and chain on their feet, okay? Abortion, conscientious objection. You can't even have conscientious objection now. So if somebody from their religious beliefs does not want to perform abortion, they have no say. Absolutely disgusting. Where did Family First say that? Where did the Liberal Party say that? Come on, guys. The government have overridden our conscience votes. We need to stand up to them and say the people are in charge. There's 6.4 million people in this state and the state's burning, okay? Start getting yourselves, understand that they're going to get in Spring Street and walk all over every single one of you. The only person who has capacity in here and qualified is either Paul or myself. And I've had the experience to be in council, in state, as a national director. I know how the slippery suits in Spring Street operate. This is the time. If you want to save Werribee, vote for Paul. If you want to save Werribee and Victoria, vote for me. This is the voice we need in Spring Street, because for far too long it's been puppy dogs that are lapping up to big business and they're whining and dining with people with hidden agendas. There's sneaky foxes around this table. Look at the preferences. I'm an independent. Why I'm not number two? You need to ask yourself, follow the preferences, follow the flows. Okay, there's two people. It's Paul or it's myself. The choice is easy.
Thank you, Aidan. Xavier.
I believe there are a lot of issues that we do need to tackle, but I think one of the most important ones is crime. At the outset, I would like to say that I feel like everyone has the right to be safe in their own home or in public. I would also like to note that nowhere has simply having more police to enforce the law more vigorously done anything to actually fundamentally reduce law breaking or improve public safety. So I would like to make a couple of points. Firstly, as like Mr. Hopper said before, we would note that the Werribee Police Station is currently short 35 police officers. This shortage is not just in Werribee, it's across Victoria and even actually across the country. So to those that say we need more police, my question to you, where are you going to get them from? Secondly, the best way to keep young people out of trouble is to keep them engaged in their community, to have them finish school and go out and get a job. Did you know it costs $6,000 a year to have a young person in school, but it costs $7,000 a day to have the same kid down the road at Cherry Creek's Correction Centre? $6,000 a year in school, $7,000 a day in jail. We can triple the amount you spend and keep youth engaged, supported in school and still save that money, and that will reduce crime and save money at the same time. We really need activities and programs, sporting facilities, recreation areas, libraries and pools to keep the youth busy. We want them off screens and we want them out socialising. I would also like to state on the cannabis front, that we spend hundreds of millions a year on police, courts, and jail for the simple possession of cannabis. I am not talking about dealing or growing. I am just talking about simply having it on you when you are interacting with the police. That is such a waste of our taxes, and I know that from speaking with police, they even hate policing the cannabis laws themselves. If you're also from a multicultural country or Aboriginal, you're also 8 times more likely to be arrested for cannabis possession and half as likely to be offered a diversion program. And that is a statistic from the Minister of Police themselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Xavier. Ajaz, your passionate policy?
My strategy is triple E strategies. For me, it is education, economy, and infrastructure, and environment. So we need to tackle this jointly, very important, because we are the city of coastland, and that's where we have challenges here. The challenges here, we are not coping with the current growth. So current growth for the infrastructure, we are lacking way behind the infrastructure. So that's the biggest challenge here. The number of schools, if you see, and the overcrowded school. One family need to go 3 schools. I met another day a lady where she has to wait 2 years for her kid to go to the same school. So it's a very challenging year. And if you see on the environmental side also, we got the land here, agriculture land. I met the farmers there and also met the workers there. How the situation they are living because of the policies, the state and federal policies are not helping them. How can someone come here and not get the sick pay or the pay? The other day I met them and they are not getting the sick pay and because they are seasonal workers. We need to ensure if they are working, they have to get the rights, what equal rights, what we get here, enjoy here. So that's very one of the challenging things I found. And if someone is looking for a new business, we need some support. There is no support here right now. Because starting a business, as you said, it's very hard to be, because there's no space, and very challenging, there is no stability here. And if someone wants to get a new education stuff, if the infrastructure doesn't support it, the kids are dropping off the school. They are not going to the uni. So that's another challenge. That's why the crime rate is increasing, the safety is increasing. So we don't have an approach where we need to put the community first. That's the biggest challenge we have. And today, I'm sadly to say, I'm seeing again the traditional voting, which is quite concerning to me because this is my 6th election, 2 federal, 2 council, and this is my 2nd state election. If the traditional voting pattern continues, I don't think we'll see a change in coming years. So I'm really sad about that. 2 days after the preferential voting, people are not making the mind. They're voting just like a Google. They Google and for facts. They're not changing the behavior. You need to make this seat as a marginal seat. If you really need to do something about Werribee, if you really care about Werribee, you need to change your voting pattern. You need to think about the people, not about you, the community across you, who is thinking, the kids, the families, who bring the plate on the food, the parents, they have a challenge here. People are facing the cost of living. How could we save them? Your traditional voting pattern will make it really hard for each and every one of you. Because it's not the party first. I don't care who comes into it. It's important for us, for the community. The community need to be first here. The approach is different. That's where we need to change. The behavior, I'm really sorry to say this, but it's what I've seen. Today I was really upset about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ajaz. Cody?
Alrighty, so my policy, my preferred policy, or one that I'm most passionate about, is obviously education for youth. I work in childcare. I went from childcare to swim teacher out at Aquapulse, so run by the council. I also worked in council-funded childcares. I also worked in private ran childcares. So I see that parents are struggling to get their children into private, council, government-funded programs. So we also need to, another policy that I am most passionate about is our community safety. So back in 2020, I promised the police station out in Wintervale. That's something that the community out there is still calling for. I was out at Wintervale Station the other morning, and every single person that I spoke to that was running for a train was saying that we need a police station out there. And being a local out there, living in Jubilee, I know that that is something we need. This morning, a resident out there woke to see their cars were stolen. So it's something that everyone is feeling. Myself personally, I was victim of a knife crime out there where someone broke into my house and did steal my car. And I waited 57 minutes for police to rock up at the property. So it's something that all residents are feeling. We need to also, it's not about bricks and mortar, building police stations here, there and everywhere. It's about reintegrating youth into the community. It's not about locking them up and putting them behind bars, because youth nowadays are boasting on social media about how weak our bail laws are. So they know that they commit crime, half an hour later they're back out on the street, and that's a problem that Labor has created by weakening the bail laws. So we need to look at reintegration programs for youth that have lost their footing in the area. In 2015, I was featured in a Star Weekly article when council cut the funding for the Anglicare Youth Futures program, something that I use, something that many youths around the area use. And I believe that when council falls behind in funding for those programs, that's where state government needs to kind of pick up the pieces, because our youth are our next generation. They are who we are here for. Everybody here can say what they want, but we're all here for one thing, and that's our future. We're not here for us here and now. We're here to build for our future and make a change. Also, when it comes to education, more funding for schools. I went to Glen Orden Primary School, which has now changed to Wyndham Park Primary School. My nephews go out there. My niece will start prep tomorrow out there. My sister went there in 1990 and graduated in 1990 as well. And the playground out there is still exactly the same as it was in 1990, 2005 when I started there, all the way to 2014 when I left there. And still the same now in 2025. So more funding for our schools here in Wyndham. And I'll leave it there.
Thank you, Cody. Steve?
There are so many things that we need here. We've been neglected for years, and to try and pin, one thing, what Paul was saying and the others were saying about crime, yes, the bail laws need to be absolutely looked at. They got weakened by Labor. That certainly needs. There's, in Victoria, there are 1,000 police short, okay? It's major stuff. But the one thing I suppose I really want to go on is sort of the question of where's the money? Now, when land is subdivided, there's a thing called developer contribution funds that are paid by the developers, and that sits currently in the state government. They've got millions in there, and then they come out because polls are getting tight saying, oh, we're going to do this, it's going to be $133 million, we're going to do this. That's money that should have been spent in the past in the area in Werribee for the residents. And it's all too little too late. They can make it sound as good as they want, all these wonderful new things they're going to do, but that should have been done years ago. And they'd be saving money. The construction costs, they've gone up by 20%. Why not spend it? You've got it, spend it there instead of keeping it in there, trying to make the budget look good by what money you've got there when it's stuff that should have been spent in this area. It's from this area, it's meant to be spent in this area, and that's what should be happening. And all sorts of things can be done with that, whether it's the infrastructure, whether it's the police station, whether it doesn't matter. There's money, it should be spent, and it should be spent on time instead of just being put out to all other places and done. So, thank you.
Thank you, Steve. And Rifai?
Yeah, my priority will be engaging the youth. We have to develop the programs for the youth, whether it's job creation, whether it is a safe community environment, whether education institutes. We have to look for the future. The youth are the future, and again, they are the wealth of this community. So we have to make use of it. And, education institutes has been neglected in this area. Overcrowded schools. Our average, when you compare with Metro Melbourne's average, is 554, the Metro schools average, whereas here it is 983. So we need more schools. We need our children to reach within short distance to the schools. So education is a serious thing. And again, tertiary education. Our children have to travel 1 hour, 2 hours to reach their higher education institutes. We don't have anything here. We have only Victoria University, that's also TAFE. We don't have universities in this area. So we need to develop that. And job creation, we are talking about East Prince project, but we have to expedite that. Again, a safe environment. And we were talking about traffic, and here the fund allocation recent announcement was mentioned. But when you look at it, this Ballant Road or the main road interchange, it has become a commodity for the election time. We have seen 2022, a lot of promises. Again, this time also, a lot of promises. When you see the announcement, the delivery in 2030, main road interchange has been rated by the RACV. It's the second most dangerous in the Metro Melbourne. So we have to wait until 2030 to resolve that problem. So how many accidents need to happen? How many things need to happen? So they want to deliver in 2030. Is it the feasible announcement? So we have to make that expedite. We have to, it's an emergency. Youth engagement emergency. Safety, community safety is emergency. Because of that, our non-engagement of youth. Again, safe community also, and the transport things also important. Therefore, we had to make policies around engaging the youth and the future community. Thank you.
Thank you, Rifai, and thank you all candidates. That's the end of our formal questions, but now is the last-ditch effort, your last pitch. So why should the voters in the state seat of Werribee vote for you? You've got 30 seconds. We'll start with you, Rifai, your last pitch. Why should people vote for you?
Thank you. I am standing here with a strong track record of delivery. I have delivered for the communities. I have taken the campaigns. I advocate for many social problems. I have been a social justice campaigner for a long time. With all experience, what I am asking, the endorsement. My dear citizens of Werribee, endorse me, I will deliver better.
Thank you, Rifai. 30 seconds, Steve. Why should they vote for you?
Werribee and its surrounds is a wonderful, wonderful place to live, but for too long, Labor has taken Werribee for granted. It's been a safe Labor seat and they've ignored anything and everything and not delivered what the community needs and wants. If elected, I will be a very, very strong advocate in Parliament to embarrass the government, put pressure on the government to be able to get what Werribee needs. Someone in there who's part of the party, who's part of the problem, can't do that.
Thank you, Steve. Cody, your 30-second pitch.
Alrighty. Vote for me because I'm a local. I face the issues that everyone here faces, from traffic, crime, our schools. Also, the man who held the money for our state for the last 10 years gave Werribee nothing. The promises that are being made are not going to be delivered. Like Rafi said, the interchange at Werribee Main Road is scheduled for 2030. Labor could be out by then. There's a state election coming up in 2027. Also, the direct link from Manor Lakes to Tunny.
Thank you. Ajaz, 30-second pitch.
I got the proven track record of advocacy for the community. And I request, this is a change we deserve and we have been denied. And this is our opportunity to make it count because it's very, come to that far, too far, we have been denied and we are suffering right now. So we got an opportunity here, make a fresh local voice, and I will be advocating for the much needed of infrastructure, schools, and also, thanks.
Xavier, why should voters vote for you?
You should vote for me because I will fight for the people of Werribee. The provision of services and infrastructure has profoundly failed to keep pace with the growth. On almost every indicator, the western suburbs are underfunded compared to the eastern suburbs. In part, this is because of the Labor government. They see this as a safe seat and they take the people for granted. The Liberal Party, they don't even really understand that there's anything west of Maribyrnong. We are not seeking anything particularly special, just the same level of investment in infrastructure and services that they get in the politically marginal seats of the eastern suburbs. Thank you.
Thank you. Aidan, your 30-second pitch.
Werribee needs $1 billion. Simple as that. We're going to need $1 billion in the next 2 years. Who's got the capacity, the courage, the tenacity, the guts to get in there and get it? This is where we're at, people. I mean, you got me once. I've got a life outside of this. When I walk out that door, I may never come back, but this is your one chance, your one opportunity. And I can assure you now, the political parties will play all sorts of games. They need a strong fighter. Bring the money in, change the culture, get someone who's uncompromised in their beliefs, and this area will change and change for the better. One chance. If you want to save Werribee, vote for Paul. If you want to save Werribee and Victoria, vote for me.
Thank you, Aidan. Shori, what's your 30-second pitch?
Okay. First of all, I listen. I may not have speak loudly, but I'm a fighter. It doesn't matter if you shout or not. You can still be a fighter. I'm a fighter. I'm the real deal. I'm going to challenge the status quo, and I'm here for kindness and equality. And I'm also a woman. Have a look around. We need diversity, and I will get things done because, you know, women get things done.
Thank you, Shari. John, why should voters in the state seat of Werribee vote for you?
I appreciate everyone who's been watching tonight. There's been a lot of noise out there on this campaign, and every conversation I've had with people as I've been knocking on doors or, you know, calling you up in the afternoon, I've really appreciated those conversations because they're conversations with my neighbours, with my friends, people that I've worked with or families where I've taught their kids. People deserve a local who is in their corner, ready to fight for them each and every day. Labor has made progress, but Werribee needs more. And I will be a strong local voice in government delivering for our community.
Thank you, John. Paul.
Thank you. I asked the people of Werribee to back me in this election campaign as a true independent local servant. I'll serve the people of Werribee before any other interests, and I will not stop until we get what we deserve and it's been neglected for far too long. We need change. Please consider voting for me in this election.
Thank you, Paul. And Matthew, why should voters vote for you?
Well, you should vote for me because if you value families just like I do, you want me because I'm going to fight for protecting our families. I'm going to fight to rethink this net zero stuff that's driving up our costs and put more money in our pockets and give us a breather so we can reinvest in our families. I'm going to fight to protect faith-based schools in our area so they can have a say about who works for them and what's taught there. And I'm going to fight to protect our two genders because I've got young girls and I know a lot of people that do as well, and I want them to be able to participate safely in sports. So vote for me, vote family first, vote local, and let's make the change.
Thank you, Matthew. Well, thank you, candidates. It's been a great evening. It's been great to get to know a little bit about you all. I wish you all luck on February the 8th in the by-election for the state seat of Werribee. For all of those who've joined us from home, I hope you know a little bit more about your candidates. Wyndham City Council looks forward to working with the next member for Werribee and keep fighting for the interests of this community. So thank you all for watching tonight. Thank you for your participation and good luck.